What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Video dance parties, karaoke jams, and weddings. Oh my goodness. I'm booking so many weddings. I know there was a lot of engagements over the Christmas holidays, over the New Year's celebrations. There've been a lot of engagements because there've been quite a few that have asked me, hey, are you available to do my wedding coming up in April, May, June, July, August, September? You know, I'm very excited about that and very honored to provide the entertainment. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program I have Carrie Carlisle. What? Oh, you know a little bit about Carrie Carlisle. Well, get to know Carrie Carlisle a little bit more in the next few minutes, so stick around. Very excited to hear Carrie Carlisle speak. All right, this week's shows, I will be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday night, my usual Friday night gig. I'm there at least 48, 49, 50 Fridays out of the year. That's my usual place. I'm very honored to be there, and I'm so happy that they keep having me back every Friday night at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Video dance party, karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show on a Friday night. What song should I sing, Keys Dan? You could sing pretty much whatever you want. We're all adults there, you know. You could sing some country, some rock, some pop, some speed metal. We'll sing some Japanese songs, Spanish, whatever. It's all up to you. You're the star of the show. Wind down after a long week. They got a full bar. The kitchen's open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money on a Friday night, you could do it right there at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Carrie Carlisle. Man, I got her on the Skype, so if you're listening to the audio version, I encourage you to check out the video version, youtube.com/user/KeysDan, and you'll see Carrie Carlisle's pretty face right next to mine. All right, Skyping Carrie Carlisle now.
There we go.
All right, there's that smiley face I've been waiting to see all day long. Carrie Carlisle in the house. What's up?
Nothing much.
Yeah? Well, I mean, you know, I got you here, and I know a little bit about you. I've kind of perused your social medias, but, you know, we're here to find out more about you. We know you're a good singer, and from your videos, from your personal YouTube, you're a good speaker. You're learning how to speak, like in front of people. Give the people an idea of who you are, Carrie Carlisle.
Sure. So it's not my main focus, but I do dabble into a little bit of motivational speaking. I've been legally blind since birth, and I've had to overcome a lot in my life. And everyone goes, well, Carrie, what's your secret? And, well, my secret is there isn't one.
Well, I mean, the closest that I ever had to deal with legally blind, my brother, he had Coke bottle glasses when he was a little kid. But before he got that, he was 5 years old or 6 years old in first grade. And the teacher said, hey, if you need to come closer to the board so you could see this math problem, come on up here. Well, from what I understand, he went inches from the board to see that math problem, and we figured out he was legally blind. But then years and years fast forward later, he got the LASIK surgery, 2015, 2010. Both eyes are great. All right, since it does define a big part of your life, it's something that you've had to overcome in your life. And I know that from watching your video, it starts with an A, the thing that's in the pupils. But tell us a little bit about your eyeballs and what you did to overcome it so far.
Okay, sure. So I have a rare eye condition called sporadic aniridia, and basically it's very strange. It's a genetic disorder, but it surfaced when I was born. So no one else in my family that we know of has it except for myself. But basically, I was born without an iris, and of course, that's the colored part of your eye, but it's also the part of your eye that protects the back of your eye. So your pupils, everything. So it protects the back of your eye. And so, of course, when you go into light, it stretches out real big. Your iris, that's the muscle that stretches out your eye. And then when you get into dark spaces, it goes smaller. Well, I don't have that. And so sunlight is super, super painful. Hits the sunglasses, even though we're not in sunshine right now. And of course, when I go inside or when it gets really dark, my eyes take more time to adjust than others. And of course, I don't have any depth perception, so I can't see steps or curbs, and I can't see things past 20 feet in front of me.
Well, that is something you have to overcome there, Carrie Carlisle. And from the biology that I remember in school, and I was an EMT firefighter for a little while, so I went a little further. But I know that eyes, the darker eyes, are less sensitive to light. I have blue eyes myself, so they're a little more sensitive to light. But if you don't have any iris pigment at all, very, very sensitive to light. Does it shoot through? Does it send a burning sensation, or is just you cannot deal with sunlight for the most part?
Well, I've kind of been able to, like, as an adult, since my muscles have gotten stronger, my eyes have just been able, especially like when I walk outside and walk back inside, like go to class and stuff. I walk. I just deal with it. It doesn't feel great, but I deal with it, and it's gotten a lot easier since I've been older.
Okay. Well, you just alluded to it. You're going to class. What are you learning? Are you going to class now? Or are you currently are you in high school? Everybody under 30 is a little kid to me.
Yeah,
Once you get to a certain age, but you're
yeah,
you're in college now.
yeah. No, I'm in college. I'm going into my last semester. I'm getting a degree in commercial music with a minor in music business.
Whoa. Okay, you are all in for this music thing. All right. So when I first got a call from Jill Santibanez, and I like to put the Spanish accent on it over there at Nashville Entertainment, as she said, "Hey, Carrie Carlisle is available." So I kind of started to peruse, and I started to look, and I saw that you have at least one music video out there. Something. It looks like maybe one video that like Hope for America, and I didn't know how in you were, but when you tell me you're actually going to school to learn the theory, behind the music. Some people go to YouTube and they learn tabs on a guitar, and that's it. They don't know how to read music. They don't know what music is all about. They don't know why chord progression, goes together. Why do these chords fit together? But you're learning all that. Yeah, give a brief overview of how that started. Were you doing this in high school? And where are you from? I know you're based out of Nashville, but where are you from? Where were you born and raised?
Memphis, actually, so about 4 hours away from Nashville.
Memphis. Born in Memphis?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, one of my favorite towns to go. Why? Because I've been to Graceland many, many times, and I know it's not all about Graceland. Memphis has a whole lot more. There's barbecue, there's Stax Records, there's Sun Records, there's the Strip. It's just there's so much to see in Memphis. But in '99 was the first time I went to Graceland, so that's the first inkling, the first taste of Memphis that I got. But then I did get off the Elvis Presley expressway and find out more. Tell me about Memphis. Tell me about little Carrie Carlisle in Memphis, Tennessee, growing up? What were you getting into?
Well, honestly, so yeah, I went to Graceland once. I was about 9 years old, and we had family in town, and they wanted to go to Graceland. But like as far as tourism and stuff goes, we never really did a whole bunch of that when I was little. Uh, Growing up here, honestly, was pretty basic for me. I was a kid. I went to school. I did your usual Girl Scouts and summer stuff, and I mean, they're really, but I did do music. I did do music. I've been doing music since I was about 2. When my family realized I could sing, I was about 2 years old, and I've been doing voice lessons at least since I was 4.
Well, I want to back up a little bit. Girl Scouts. I never got to Boy Scouts. I was a Cub Scout and then a Weeblo. That's as far as I went. But Girl Scouts are a whole different animal than Boy Scouts. Boy Scouts have had their problems, their troubles over the years. I can make a whole podcast about that. But Girl Scouts, as far as teaching leadership abilities and teaching skills to girls, and some people get annoyed by Girl Scouts on the corners or in front of the grocery store selling those cookies. Those cookies, they made $8 million off of those cookies last year or two. I think, well, and not 2020, but in 2019 and 2018, $8 million, which is why your dues are only $25 a year. That's why the dues can be so small, because they make their money on those cookies. But the cookies is teaching leadership abilities, teaching sales. These are life skills. How do you feel? I'm listening to a podcast. Let me see. I think it's Stuff You Missed in History Class. One of my favorites. It's Holly Fry and Tracy B. Wilson that do this podcast. And they teach you these little tidbits of things that you may have missed. Tell me about Girl Scouts, your experience with that. How'd you get into it?
Well, my mom signed me up. She came home one day and said, "I signed you up for Girl Scouts." That's basically how it happened. And she's like, "Oh, would you want to give it a go?" Because like I was raised by my mother and my grandparents. And they all really tried very hard to have me live a regular life. So the fact that I was blind meant nothing really. I mean, they were going to put that aside, and they wanted to have friends and be involved as much as I could. So I did Girl Scout. I couldn't tell you how long I was in it. I was a junior. I think it's called a junior. Okay. I don't remember. And then there was a brownie.
Yeah, I know it's daisies. It's daisies and brownies.
I'm sorry. Yeah, daisies.
Well, it's named after the niece of, this is only because I just heard the podcast. It's named after the niece of the person who invented Girl Scouts way back in the early part of 1900, like 1903 or 4 or 5, somewhere in there. But her niece, Daisy, was the very first Girl Scout that was signed up. And Daisy Scout, she's probably around 5 years old. Then you become a brownie, then a Girl Scout after that. So how far did you go? Did you go to brownies, or you didn't go?
I went up to brownies, and I was, I was probably about a year or 2, year and a half. Mm-hmm. And then the group I was in got banded or something. I don't remember. It's been so long ago.
Yeah, I think that's the reason that I left the Boy Scouts, is because I ended up moving, and I left Pack 576. Salute. All right. I mean, it was a good experience. I feel like, we went camping a lot. We learned, you got friends. You made some friends. And it's nice to have a team of people. You had a good group of girls that could help you fend off any because kids are cruel. Anytime they find something different. I was a bit of a husky boy myself, so fat was called to me a lot. But I suspect that you may have been picked on for your eyes and what have you.
Yes, unfortunately I have.
Mm-hmm.
Not something I love to talk about and bring up, but yeah, there was oh gosh, middle school was probably the worst.
Hmm. Well, this is
For
your story.
obvious
Yeah, this is your story. You can tell as much or as little as you want.
reasons.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm just finding interesting things about you, things that I find interesting, and if I find them interesting, somebody else is going to. You know, to overcome adversity is part of your life experience, and with your superpower of being able to write music and sing music, you can use that fodder to make songs out of it, to inspire people with that. You know, is that something that you do?
So, the song "Hope for America," because I'm not going to take the credit. That's not me. Was written by a good friend of ours, Steve Wiggins, who's also here in Memphis. He's been writing music for several years, and he was recommended by a family friend, and he graciously offered to let me record his songs, and that's how we found Hope for America. But I would definitely say my music has played a really good role, or me doing music, I would say that's a better term, has played a really good role in the fact that I have been able to overcome a lot. I wouldn't go as far as saying kindness defines me, because it's a part of, I mean, I'm lying if I said it was a part of who if it wasn't a part of who I was, but it doesn't define me as a person. I'm still able to travel and hold down a job and do pretty much anything that a regular person can do, just I have to do it just a little bit differently.
Well, all right. I'm a big fan of Daredevil. He's the man without fear, famously blind in the comic books, and all of his other senses through, I guess magic goo or whatever. All of his other senses get heightened, and he can hear better, and he can feel better, and he can, taste better, and all these things. Are all the other senses heightened?
Okay. Well, I get I get this question a whole lot, and I have to laugh because, well, I wouldn't go as far as saying they were heightened, but since I do rely on them more, they're a little bit more trained than heightened, if that makes any sense. Because my ears and nose and are the exact same as yours.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But since I use them more and I rely on them more than the average sighted person, and they're trained.
Well, Carrie Carlisle, I'll admit I did watch your video, the intro video that you had for your speech class, and in part of it, you mentioned that you cook. So I was kind of hoping, as a cook, that you could taste. Oh, you put that right spice in there, and oh, that's the perfect spice. Oh, Carrie Carlisle, you're the best cook ever because you know exactly what the taste is. I mean, tell me about your cooking skills. Has it helped? Is it good?
I mean, I haven't heard anybody complain about my cooking. I mean, there's been a few. I mean, there's been a few rough things that I've made. I mean, who doesn't make mistakes in the kitchen, right?
Okay.
Uh,
Someone's in the kitchen with Carrie. Tell me about the good meals, your go-to meals. Say, Keys Dan was traveling from Central Arkansas 2 hours, and yes, I'm inviting myself over to Memphis, Tennessee. Maybe, perhaps, I'll bring groceries and you'll make a meal. But no, if you were making a meal for somebody that was coming in out of town. It doesn't have to be me or anything. I was just playing with you. But no, if somebody was coming in out of town, a family member, a close relative, somebody you kind of like, what's the meal that Carrie Carlisle makes for that person?
oh, definitely my mac and cheese. I have a secret ingredient, or a few secret ingredients that really make the recipe, but it is not heart healthy at all. But it's completely from scratch. And yeah, no, everybody loves my mac and cheese.
All right, all right. If it tastes real good, it can't be good for you. Now, truth be told, last night I just had mac and cheese. It had poblano cheese in it, and it had a little bit of tuna in it. Can you divulge without giving your entire KFC secret recipe? Coke Classic secret recipe. The recipe's guarded so much without giving too much. What's in your mac and cheese that makes it taste so good?
Okay, so I use the big fat elbow noodles, and then I use the 2 pounds of Velveeta. You can get it at the store. And then I use sharp cheddar and milk and butter, like no joke, like a stick of butter.
Like real butter, not this margarine stuff, right? Real butter.
Yeah, no, real butter. And a couple different spices. Not gonna tell you what those are.
That's the secret recipe right there.
and another dairy recipe. And another dairy recipe that makes it thick and creamier. That there has the word cream in it. It really makes it.
Carrie Carlisle, you're making my mouth water. Years ago, back in 19, blah, 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 I worked at KFC. I worked at all the different parts of KFC. I worked as a cook at KFC, making that secret recipe chicken. And I looked on the side of the bag, hoping that I would see the secret recipe. It says salt, pepper, monosodium glutamate, herbs and spices. Herbs and spices. That's it. No secret recipe. So I suspect that Carrie Carlisle, this music, it can kind of steer into a maybe the musical chef. Carrie Carlisle putting out that content, playing a little. I don't know. Do you play instruments at all?
So I'm not an expert, but I do play a little bit of piano, just a little bit. Like I just know, like the basics.
Now,
but I'm hoping to touch up those skills soon.
Now, when did piano start? Was that something you had as a little kid? Maybe mom or well, you said you were raised by your mom and your grandma, so it's leading me to believe that maybe dad might have been out of the picture. You can confirm or deny, what have you. But did somebody put you in front of that piano and make you play, or was this something you wanted to do?
My issue mainly, I did it when I was a kid, but I think if I had maybe had like a really good teacher and had wanted to do it at the time and stuck with it, I would have been better off. But I didn't, and I don't know. It's just different teachers came and gone, and several different like methods, if that makes any sense. Like every teacher was different and they had a different style, and it was just kind of up. And when you're a kid and you didn't really at the time in the first place, that made it even harder. So yeah, piano is just kind of meh, but I'm hoping to really learn a lot more. I signed up for some private piano lessons next semester, so hopefully that goes well.
Well, it's structure. Kids need structure when they're growing up. People go, "Oh, you're too strict on that kid." Well, you got to have some kind of structure. You can't let kids just fly off the handle, and that's in anything. So if you're learning how to play piano, yeah, you got to make them a little bit. My little sister, she was way younger than me. My brother and I were both out of the house by the time she came around. But my mom was real hard on her, made her play piano. She learned how to, even write her own songs by the time she was finished. And if my mom hadn't have sat her down in front of that piano, she wouldn't have learned those songs. Of course, now she's a fantastic hairdresser down in Miami, Florida, and she's awesome. She's awesome. That kids grow and they learn. That you all you can do is give them the tools to put in their tool bag, and hope that something comes out of all that. But you have that want, that desire to play piano. And you being in a music school, learning, really going all the way. I expect to call call you Dr. Carrie Carlisle eventually, master, PhD of music. I don't know how far you're going to go, but tell me about what made you want to, or, what else did you do in school? We already went through a little bit of Girl Scouts and stuff. Did you learn in high school or in middle school? And previous to that, you said you were singing because your mom already knew you were a good singer. But did you take music class, or what were your extracurriculars in school? And were you a good student?
Yeah, so I was a good student, except for math. Math probably the biggest struggle. So like, especially like in high school, like when I got to maybe algebra. So like, other than music, I did a few other things actually. So when I was in high school, obviously I went to tutoring like twice a week to maybe hone in those math skills just a little bit. And then I got to do in middle school, I got to do like this thing called the environmental club, and it was kind of cool because I don't have much of a green thumb, but it was cool to take part in just kind of working around like the school grounds and everything. So that was really cool. And we just all worked as a team, and we worked really hard, and just got to plant, and it was just really cool. And oh good. Other than music, I took violin for a while. I did cello for a while.
Cool.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I miss doing violin, but life happened, as it usually does. And
Well, looking from the outside in, I would see all these horticulture classes, and I always kind of thought that was kind of odd. I would go, they're just getting free labor from the students, planting all these nice plants all around the school grounds. But, once again, you're getting a life skill. This is something that you could use at your own house, or maybe even, be a florist. Who knows where those skills might come in handy, maybe at a wedding or a birthday or any other kind of occasion where you might need to have some flowers arranged. I got that skill in my back pocket when I was doing this flower class, this horticulture class. That's fantastic. No, this is good. Well, I like the stringed instruments. I like that you've dabbled in the cello. You've dabbled in the violin. I know that there's was it Sterling? Lindy Sterling?
Sterling.
Oh my gosh.
No, she's fantastic.
And Joshua Bell. There was a movie called The Red Violin. Joshua Bell with his violin. Oh, if you can play, and of course, Charlie Daniels, legendary. All these fiddle players. And there's only a few. There's only handfuls that I can name off that have become great. But if you get that skill, and the cello, all I know is what, Yo-Yo Ma. He's
Yo-Yo Ma.
He's the guy. He's the only cello player that I know, and I'm sure that there's others. I've seen some quartets and I've heard some great music, but the string instruments, anytime. All right, it fascinates me. I'm a guy that's been talking into microphones practically my whole life, my whole professional life for sure. But I cannot play instruments. I've had guitars. I have a full piano. I've had harmonicas. I'm amazed when people can pick up an instrument and actually play it. And so don't lose that. I hope that you do go back to the piano and go back to maybe your stringed instruments. Do you have aspirations to maybe write your own music or play your own songs? It's nice to have a team. I'm glad that you gave credit where credit is due.
So I just wasn't really ever given the gift of writing, although I admire people who do. And like I know one person, like I might be good with lyrics, but I might need to buddy up with someone that's really good at music, so yeah, I'd love to do that down the line for sure. And as far as stringed instruments, those days are gone.
Oh.
am completely broke. I don't have enough money for another violin, and I don't have enough money to pick up violin lessons. I was very, very small when I had my last violin lesson, and so I still have my violin.
Mm-hmm.
I named her Violet, and
Ah,
she still exists. Uh, she's just in my closet, but it's way too small. And
okay.
but I'm really thankful that I got to do violin, and I miss it. I really do. But it's just um I think after a while, I kind of knew it was the best thing to do because after a while, I have some bone abnormalities, and so basically, my elbows are dislocated, and so I have to move my ankle here. Moving my hand like this was really difficult, so I had to play like this,
Okay.
and yeah, so as it progressed, you have to move your hand further this way towards your face, and I couldn't do that, and it was really painful. So that's basically the whole long story. That's like a long story short, basically. But I'm really thankful that I got to do it because I learned a lot.
Mm.
I had a wonderful teacher, and yeah, it was a good experience all around.
Well, Carrie Carlisle, these are all more adversities you need to overcome. I mean, you're not the typical person. You're a person, an extraordinary person that's overcoming things that other people don't have to overcome. So you're working twice as hard, and hopefully you'll reap twice the reward for working twice as hard. That's my hope for you. That's my wish for you. But you're not playing any instruments right now, but you're honing your singing skills. And anybody that's perused your YouTube, or not your YouTube, because your YouTube is mostly the speech class. But if you look up your name on YouTube, you'll see the videos that come up under Carrie Carlisle topic. You need to put them on your own personal YouTube so people can find them a little bit better. That's just a little advice from me to you. But I'm listening to you sing, and you have such a voice. Were you all right? You started singing at 2, as far as you said, but were you honed? Did you have singing lessons?
Oh yeah, I've been taking voice lessons. So I took them for a little bit when I was about 4, and then I started when I was about 10, and I still take them to this day.
From who? Come on, shout outs, credit where credit is due.
Okay. So when I was, oh goodness. So elementary, middle school, I had a lady named Mandy Webb. And then throughout high school, I went to the Blind over in Nashville. And that's how I found Trevecca. That's how I found music. So it just kind of all snowballed. But I had Georgette C. And I, throughout college, I still consider them my voice teachers. Through college, I had Dr. Abby Burt, Professor Jasmine Davis, and I currently have Professor Fane Spray.
What's Trevecca?
Yeah, sure. So it's a private Christian school in Nashville. College, I mean.
Very cool. I mean, what made you go to Trevecca?
So short, year of high school, we were looking for financial aid, so like different scholarships, and basically we were looking at one that this school for the blind was really pushing because they worked really well with people with disabilities, but not a whole lot of here universities offered that, but Trevecca did.
That's fantastic. Okay. So you get out of high school, you're trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up. What are the other things that pass through your head? I remember when I was in high school, they made me take an ASVAB test, and my top 2 things were photographer and beautician.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, my entire family are educators. My mom's a kindergarten teacher, and my granddad was a principal for 40 years, and my grandmother taught, I want to say, kindergarten and first grade. I think she did first grade the most.
Well, kindergarten and first grade, you get them while they're young, okay? They're still malleable. Oh, they're not carrying weapons yet, hopefully. Please. No, that's beautiful. Kindergarten
Yeah.
teachers are a very special breed. And I'm sure, that's telling me a whole lot about your mom and your grandma. But a principal, wait a minute, principal of what? Of an elementary school or a high school or what?
So it was a K through 8 school.
K through 8, getting them while they're young, hopefully steering them in the right direction so they don't carry weapons to school. The children are our future. No, this is good. No, but all right. Well, that takes care of that. Do you want to be a music teacher? Is that your end goal?
So I was a music education major for a while, but before that I was special ed. After a couple different scenarios, I left special ed, and I was in music ed for a while. And then after a while, I did, because you have to do several, observations. And you have to go through a lot to student teach, and then you have to take state board and take another test to get your license. And I took a step back, and I'm just like, I don't think I want to be in a classroom.
Wow. It's so many hoops, so many hurdles that you have to go through to get a job that pretty much everyone in the world deems as a job that doesn't have that much, what do they call it? Well, monetary reward, but also a thankless job for the most part. I remember my teachers, and I'm glad you remembered your voice teacher from, when you were a little wee lass. But, I remember some of the teachers over the years that really, that really struck me. And a teacher is such an important thing in a child's life. That's what, that we trust our teachers to take care of our children and steer them in the right direction. But what is it you want to do? Do you want to be a touring musician, or do you want to be, what is it you want to get out of Carrie Carlisle, the music?
I really want to, of course, my dream is to be an artist, but I tell people, I really want to be involved in the music industry, or in the music business, I should say. Because and if I go back and change it, I would, because I didn't know a whole lot about the music business, and part of because I was just commercial music for a while, and then I had to take a survey of music business class, and I was like, wow, I really enjoyed it. It was so interesting. Man, what a interesting and really just, awesome, world. It's a hard world, I'm not gonna lie. It's very, I don't know the right word, honestly. It can be very challenging, but super rewarding. And I like that. I like the fact that I'm going into a field that I don't think a lot of people, like myself, would go into. So I would really like to do, if I didn't get to be an artist, is to maybe work with artists and maybe boost their careers.
Well, Carrie Carlisle, you're giving people gems. Primarily, this is a learning podcast, and we're learning from you. Yes, going into the music field can be very daunting, especially if you don't know anything about the business, and you are learning the business. This is things that kids don't even get in school. They learn, what a dollar is, maybe how to make change, but they don't know how to invest that dollar. That they don't get taught that in school. And the music business, Oh my goodness, how many horror stories do you hear over the years, especially back in the 50s and 60s? These guys and girls would work themselves to death 4 and 5 and 6 and 8 shows a week and then die penniless because they didn't know the business and the record companies. I know there has to be somebody good out there. The record companies just taking all that revenue and giving the
Right.
artist almost nothing. And that, I mean, it's good business if you can do it. You know, if you can take all the money from the artist and let them do all the work, oh, that's great business, isn't it? But it's not very ethical, is it? You know, but you're learning how to steer through that. What are the main things that you've learned? What are big lessons that you've learned steering through the music business before and after school?
Oh yeah. So before school, I knew nothing. I'm not gonna lie, I knew nothing. But after, and of course, I don't pretend to be an expert. I can't tell the future. It's definitely a business that will change. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll have things that are completely different as far as how things work in the industry. So, like, for instance, like, streaming is the biggest thing right now as far as like getting your music out into the public. But, 5 years ago, it was CDs. And before that, there were cassettes. And then before that, there were records and 8-track tapes. And, now CDs, I mean, they exist, but they're not as dependable as they were. And so it's a world that's always going to change.
No, absolutely. An artist could sell a million records and live very comfortably after that. You know, you can make one hit record, never sing on stage ever, and make a good payday. I think it was Juice Newton was the first one that I remember that playing with the Queen of Hearts. I think she got a ranch in Montana somewhere off of that one song. And
Wow.
now, it's going back to the 50s and 60s where you got to play live every day of the week just to try to break even. Is this an experience that you want? I mean, if you don't become the teacher, if you don't become the record producer, and you end up, playing in coffee houses and then ultimately stadiums, is that what you want, or
Well, that's what I signed up for. So, I mean, I love to sing regardless. And speaking of coffee houses, I'm actually doing a performance in a coffee house on the 8th. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
Well, give a shout out which coffee house, because maybe they'll have you back over and over again.
Sure. So it's over in Olive Branch. It's called Coffee Central, Olive Branch, Mississippi. And I'll be there from about 5 till 8 on the 8th.
Oh my goodness. All right. I've been to Tupelo, Mississippi, home of Elvis Presley. I saw his 2-room shotgun shack and his church. Okay. You've alluded to, you went to a Christian college, or you're going to a Christian college. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay. Is that part of your faith? Because I know that I was watching some of the videos. Do you have a faith that you practice, and how does that present itself, music wise and in your daily life?
Oh, yeah, sure. So honestly, I've, been a Christian for, oh gosh, a really long time. And, I don't really think of it, I mean, I think about it obviously, but to me, it's always just been very normal because I grew up in church, and I consider it plays a huge part in my success and what I've done and what I've been through, because without God, none of this would have been possible. So he gave that voice to me, and I want to use it to glorify him and hopefully inspire others.
Is there singing in your church, and do you participate?
Not there is, but for right now, since I've been flipping back and forth, and I'm not sure where I'm going to end up, I'm not doing anything in churches at the moment. But I have done in the past, and it was a good experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a gospel song like Christmas music. Almost anybody sounds good singing gospel music and Christmas music and the old favorites. You sing them and you feel happy and it makes you feel good. I like that. I like that a lot, and I appreciate you sharing a little bit about how that affects your life, your daily life. Well, you say you're in school. You're just about to finish. I mean, we already know where you're from and where you're at. Where are you heading? Right off in the next little bit.
Yeah. So as of now, I'm not exactly sure. What I'm really hoping to do is get an internship at a record label, and hopefully I'm hired after that internship.
Well,
So that's what I'm hoping. I don't know if that's plan A. I'm really hoping to stay in Nashville, even though it's just super expensive. I'm just right now, I'm taking it one day at a time and, just trying to stay afloat.
That's fantastic, Carrie Carlisle. Let me see. I've done quite a few jobs where they do internship and more free labor, like the horticulture back in high school. Like you go into the record company and you internship. Oh, that means I get coffee for you for free for no money. When I started working at the radio station, I got out of school and you could be an intern at this station getting coffee for no money. And then EMT, same thing. You go work at that hospital for free, for no money for now, but it does pay off eventually. Yes. I hope you do get hired on as a producer. It looks like even though you do know how to sing and you do make great music with your voice, I can see you being the business person that makes money off the back of other artists. I'm kidding. That makes, that helps another artist steer through the business and then maybe makes their 10%, makes a little bit of change off of, whatever work you do. Your experience with record labels now, are you primarily an independent artist, or do you have a record label that you work with right now?
Currently, I'm independent.
Okay. And then what do you think that if the right opportunity came along, you would sign? I talked to a person recently. They signed on with a record company, no bonus ahead of time. One of the things that they told me was don't take that $5,000, signing bonus, because that just means you owe them $5,000. You're already in the hole. Tell me, what have you learned that about the business?
Oh, yeah.
Elaborate. Tell me more.
Surprised me one.
Well, all right. Well, tell me about the Nashville Records. How are they helping you? How did you get together with them? And tell me about your experience with having them on your team.
Yeah, sure. An old school friend of mine, her mother knew TJ or knows TJ. I'm not exactly sure how, but she heard that I really wanted to pursue an artist career, and she introduced me to TJ and Jill, and the rest is history.
They're good people. I've liked them since the day, a day I started talking to them. It's probably over a year now that we've been getting together back and forth. They've had a lot of their artists on my RadioWhat.com page playing music, and you were talking about earlier that you wanted to play your own songs, but if you had the opportunity to make music, it's good to have somebody maybe with a piano that's very skilled on the piano or skilled on a guitar that, yes, you have the lyrics, you have an idea for a song, and maybe you can hum it along. Da-da-da-dee-dee-doo-doo-dee-doo. And then they'll just pick up a guitar. If they're skilled enough, they can play it. Do you have somebody like that you can go to?
Oh yeah. See, like I'm in Nashville and I'm surrounded by people that can play.
Anybody in particular that you're working with?
So right now I'm working I'm working with a guy. He's gonna be there with me on Saturday. His name is Isaac. Super duper talented. He's only 18 years old, and I was working with him for the very first time yesterday.
Wow.
And I threw him for a loop, and I said, let's switch out this song and do this song because I'm scared that we're doing, this many mid-tempo songs, and I don't want the audience to get bored. Okay, no problem. Heard the song, and boom, he could play it.
Well, tell me about the songs that are you doing all covers, or are you playing that one original that you have?
Yeah, sure. So I'm doing the original. That was the one I was talking about, actually. Because I was gonna do "God Bless the USA" originally, and then when I was rehearsing with him, I was going, he's doing great. I'm not a huge fan of this selection. Let's switch a few things around. And he just was okay, and he just did fantastic. So I'm super excited for Saturday. But the rest are going to be covers.
Mhm.
So, and some of them are, well, they're new to me. I'm not going to lie. Because I started getting into, one of them is I Feel the Earth Move by Carole King.
Wow.
And that song is obviously not new, but it's new to me. And it's super fun. It's a super fun song. And that's one of them. Um, but yeah, and some of them I've been listening to since I was a kid. So there's a mix.
Well, there's a reason that Carole King has staying power. She was a fabulous singer songwriter, and the stories when you have pop music can be very superficial. Yeah, you can make a few bucks here and there, but I really do like the stories. Do you stay primarily in the country genre, or do you step out into some classic, maybe some folk music, some different rock, or where do you live? Do you go all over?
So believe it or not, I'm actually classically trained. So I've done everything from arias to I think almost everything but screamo and rap. But I've done a little bit of everything. But I stay primarily in the country genre because that's what I grew up with.
Well, when you say you were classically trained, I believe that to be true. You have such a vibrato in your voice. It's amazing how you use that tool. I mean, I encourage anyone that's listening right now, go step to Carrie Carlisle's page. And, I guess it's nice. You have a website. It makes it very easy to find you, carriecarlislemusic.com. And all your social links, bam, 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 right along the side. Who made that website for you?
I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear you.
Who made that website for you?
Jill did.
What?
Oh, I wrote the bio, so believe it or not, I took a class where that was actually my assignment. I had to build the website. The website was already there. I had to do a few things to it. I added the bio and everything, but everything else was pretty much there.
Wow.
And I was like, huh.
Nice to have somebody on your team like that. This is good.
So.
But all right. One thing. Do you know how to read Braille?
Yeah. So, no. Well, okay. That's a long story too. So basically, I read Braille when I was about in first grade, and then the Braille writers are actually super loud. And so I think the reason why I stopped was because I had, number one, some better vision at the time, and I could still technically see. And I think because it was so loud, it was distracting the other kids. Because it can do that, especially if you're not used to it. And then I picked it up again at the end of middle school, and then I continued it through high school. But I don't have a lot of use for it in college anymore because since Tribeca is such a small school, I mean, it's nobody's fault, and I don't think it would have helped me at all. But they don't have as many resources, so I didn't continue with Braille.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I was kind of curious about that. You know, how
Yeah.
I see the little bumps on the walls, you know, whenever, I go to an elevator, there's little bumps on the elevator numbers. And I'm kind of
Right.
curious, you know, how does somebody read that with their fingers? My hands are so calloused, you know, from work over the years. I don't suspect that I could come up with that skill, but it's interesting to me, those bumps that can be interpreted. But I guess like anything else, you know, the lines and circles that you see on a piece of paper can be
Right.
interpreted into language, right? Just
Yeah.
like anything
Yeah.
else.
It just after a while, it just becomes second nature,
All
kind of
right.
like everything else.
Well, I've taken some time from you. I don't want this to be the last time that we chat as things progress. I mean, you already have a gig coming up on Elvis's birthday, January 8th.
I didn't know that was his birthday.
Hey, you better sing at least one Elvis song. And may I suggest Such a Night, because that's my favorite Elvis song. It was a night. It really, really, really was a night. Such a night. But, I want you to give shout outs for people that have helped you along the way. I know that we've already talked about some things. And then I want you to give some last words for the people.
Yeah, sure. So big shout out to you for having me, and to TJ and Jill, of course, my family, God, pretty much everybody that has just shaped me and molded me along the way throughout this crazy but awesome journey. And to who's listening, I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you have an amazing night.
That's fantastic. See, I think you've given maybe part of your Grammy Award winning speech, you know, whenever they call you up. And the winner is Carrie Carlisle. Yay! You did it. Okay. Whether it be for singing or for producing, you know, in some aspect. All right. Like I said, we've taken some time. I don't want this to be the last time we chit chat, but I do want you to give some last words for the people. It could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, or, you know, a mantra that you wake up with every day. I'm good enough. I'm great enough, whatever, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Carrie Carlisle, give the last words for the people.
Yeah, so what came up to me, is very last minute actually. I can't believe I came up with this. But you asked me earlier, you know, what my motivation was. And of course, God, and it's my family, and but when it all comes down to just one thing, when you're presented with a situation, I'm not smiling all the time. I'm still a human being. And I don't, because everybody's different, you know, I can speak the truth on, I'm a human. I'm not smiling all the time, you know? And there are just situations that are just hard. And there's not really anything you can do about it. But my suggestion to you is to, number one, just give it to God. Okay. Number two, just follow your gut and just keep going, because you really can't do anything. So, but you've asked me what really gets me going. It's not really anything. It's just the fact that I just continue to live my life, and I may not be, and I'm surprised sometimes, because a lot of people would say, it was amazing. And I'm just like, well, I just live my life, because that's all you can do. But I do want to leave you with a verse that has given me a lot of strength, and that's Jeremiah 29:11. I hope I got that address right. but it's, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but to give you hope and a future. I got the gist of that. I'm so not good at that. But I hope that gives you some encouragement, if anything.
Well, there you have it, party people. What a sweet girl with a good head on her shoulders. That is how you do it. Ah, she gave you gems. You go to school and you learn about the business of school. It's not show friends, it's show business. And if you don't know the business, it's going to eat you up alive. Have you heard the horror stories? You see movies about it. You hear documentaries about it. Behind the music, how they got eaten up by the business. So learn your business. Learn your craft. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a civil servant, you learn your business. You want to be a musician, an actor, you learn your business. Learn the craft. Oh my goodness, Carrie Carlisle giving us gems, teaching us. And oh, yeah, you got a family of educators. You could not help but learn, 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 and thank a teacher. Yeah. Carrie Carlisle, thank you so much for being on the What Makes You Famous podcast. I look forward to following you around and your music career and hearing more about you as time progresses. I appreciate it so much, Carrie Carlisle. Hey, now let me turn my attention to you. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. Yes, I'm the last person on AOL.com. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.